Welcome to this FireMon video tutorial on change window adherence. Change control is an area of key importance. Any change that is not properly planned and scheduled can cause serious implications. Customers should have the capability to detect, alert, and report on any change made outside of a window. Change window adherence is part of an overall compliance strategy. FireMon allows us to determine what changes occurred and when they were made. A user will be able to set a control window for a device or device group in their ecosystem. This includes management stations, firewalls, and any other device post-normalization. Being able to modify or update the control window is essential to maintaining compliance. Testing will occur following normalization. We want to determine if a revision was outside of a window to see if it was compliant and to ensure compliance status doesn't change over time. In the following test, we have selected a Palo Alto firewall. Two changes will be made on this device, one inside the change control window and one that is not. We are looking for the pass or fail status once the revision completes. In addition, we will look at the device change log and change window assessment for reporting purposes. First, you will need to log into the admin console of your FireMon application server. Next, select Compliance, Change Windows, and Create. Here, we will set the general properties for our change window. This includes name, description, recurrence, time zone, start time, and end time. For the first test, we will make a window on the first day of the month from 11:50 p.m. to 11:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is to ensure that our first device change will occur outside the window and result in a fail. Note that we will return to adjust these settings for our second test to ensure the change occurs within the change window to pass. Also important to note is that in practice, time zones and time frames might technically span more than one day, even though they are specified as daily. For example, a change window could be from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Technically, that's daily, but 8 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. and 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. are part of two different 24-hour periods. Time frames could certainly be broken out into two or more accordingly as an option. Next, we will need to assign the device we'll be testing for change window adherence. As noted before, we'll be working with a Palo Alto firewall that we designated. Once all the required fields are complete, review them and click Save. We will now need to set the control by navigating to Compliance, Controls, Create, Change Window. Here, we will provide a name, a severity level, and a description for the control. Tags are not mandatory, but they are able to be added to assist in tracking a control. Next, we have the option to modify our change window control properties. We can choose information only if we want the control to not be recorded as a failure. If we want to have our change control test only against devices that match certain criteria, we can do so as well. For example, we have the option to choose type of device, vendor, or specific product. The next section will allow us to define reporting properties. An assessment report will be created later on, which can display certain text upon whether the control passes, fails, or is configured to be information only. Here, we can enter text output for each condition that can apply. If the assessment report that we create is configured to include recommendations, we can create certain text that will appear when the control fails. Once we have completed all these sections, review them, and then we can click Save. Now that the change window and control details are set, we will add an assessment to report on the pass-fail conditions for any changes made to the device. We navigate to Compliance, Assessment, and then Create. Here, we will provide a name and description for the new assessment, and be sure to include any details that are relevant for the change control. The next section is an assessment builder. Here, we go to Create, Section, and provide a name in the pop-up window. Once that is created, we will see that the new section is listed, and there will be 3 dots to the right. We'll click on those and choose Control. This will allow us to select the control that we previously created and then add it to the new assessment. In the pop-up window, we will navigate to the control we created and click Add. Finally, the device we are testing needs to be added. We have an ability to choose a device group or multiple devices. Once we have completed all sections and verified settings, click Save. We just pushed our stage rule change on the test firewall. For testing, our log update interval was set to 1 minute. This was so updates would occur shortly after each test. We can view this by going to Device, Devices, Selected Device, and Log Update Interval within the Monitoring section. As our first test change is now complete, we will now need to enter into Security Manager to verify. In Security Manager, navigate to our device by going to Change Revisions. Here, we will find the revision ID, date, time, user, change count, and a change window status. For our first test, we should see a fail under change window status as the change occurred outside the window. We can then navigate to Change, Changes to see more information about what was modified on the device, including important details such as revision, object type, object, and a summary. Now we will go back to Administration and modify the general properties for our change window to an open daily time. For this second test, we're selecting a daily window from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is to ensure that our second device change will occur within the change window in order to pass. After saving these modifications to our change window, we will need to execute our second change. As previously noted, the changes were already staged on our test firewall. Once these changes are pushed, we will then need to go back into Security Manager in order to verify that the change resulted in a pass. After we enter back into Security Manager, we will be conducting the same types of checks that we did in Test 1. We will be looking at the revision section and the change section, and in particular, within the revision section, we should now see a pass under the change window status. Once we have verified that this second test resulted in a pass, we'll be turning to our assessment results and looking at the associated output and report that we're able to gather from that section. Now navigate to Compliance Assessment Results and look for the assessment. You should see control failure and other result criteria. Next, click Run Report. We can customize the output and choose HTML or PDF format. You'll now have a document to use for further device management and security purposes. For more information, go to usercenter.firemon.com. Thank you.